Once again, the Cornish coastline ceases to amaze me.
In this video, I'm going to explain how I tackle the overturned Seascape compositional problems with leading lines and 5x4 crops, and a few bonus tips hidden along the way.
Well, hello, good morning folks, and welcome back to the channel. Today's weather forecast is absolutely horrific. We're looking at 40-mile-an-hour winds, gusting 50 miles per hour. But the rest of this van trip, the last 3 videos that would be to you, has been equally challenging, and these challenges have probably made it all the more rewarding for me. But I'm trying to protect myself a little bit today on what is the last day of this Cornish van trip. And that is by coming down to a little cove that's protected a little bit from the strong southwesterly winds. And looking out the door as we are in the van now, I think that's certainly the case. It does look like we're protected reasonably well. It looks like we're going to be sheltered from that wind. But the sea is raging. It is really pouring in, and there's a huge swell on it, so I'm expecting some really great photographs. There are some great textured cobbled slipways and some rocky outcrops either side of the cove, so with a bit of luck we will get something. But first I'm going to have my breakfast, and then we'll get ready to go out and see what we can make of our landscape photography. So last night when I was sat in the van thinking about today's video, I decided that I really wanted to talk about composition, because I don't think I've done enough of that this trip. I spoke about a lot of camera settings, I've talked about shutter speeds and various bits and pieces, but I haven't really spoken too much about composition. So today is all going to be about composition. I'm going to talk to you about the setups that I've got, and it's going to be really themed towards looking at those compositional elements. The sea is extremely rough, so the shutter speeds, I'll drop a bit in about those as well, but it's composition that I want to concentrate on. Now, I've been having a little bit of a scout around because I'm not really quite sure what my first picture is going to be. I think I've decided it's the right-hand side of this bay that I'm looking at, and it's got a little blue boat which is pulled up on the slipway. The only thing is, I can't actually decide whether I'm going to include the boat or not include the boat. That's yet to be seen. So first of all, a little bit of messing about, trying to see if I can find the composition that I want, and when I decide, I'll tell you all about it. So despite worrying about whether or not I was going to get a decent composition here, actually I'm really pleased with what I've got. The composition is dominated by a boat down in the bottom of the frame, and the great thing about it is that it's a traditional boat. It's probably a wooden boat, and it's got some wonderful lines of planking that run your eye down in, so it's a very strong compositional element. Those curves of wood going away take your eye down into the frame towards the centre of interest, which is obviously the breaking seas and the rocks in the background, which has really got some contrasty but wonderful light on it. Now, the boat could have ended up looking really, really messy, so I made sure that I didn't include the rope which is holding it to the shore, and also what I didn't want to do was include the bow of the boat in its entirety, otherwise it would have become the main subject, and the subject isn't just the boat. The other thing about this boat as well is, because of its position, it's got some great lighting on the top of it, so it's a nice strong element. And then when we look beyond the boat, it takes you down towards that sea, which is really in a huge amount of turmoil, and the breaking waves and the rocks and the headland. So I think those rocks and that sea on the other side have got enough strength in them to actually counteract the boat, so it's a reasonably balanced composition, and that's something that's really important. Your compositions need to feel comfortable and balanced, unless of course you want to disrupt things and you're trying to create a sense of unease in your composition. The other important thing here to remember, of course, I'm not going to go into it in detail, is that if there was no detail in the sea whatsoever, it would look completely wrong. So I've taken a number of exposure brackets, and I may need to blend the exposures together. I've also put a polarizing filter on, which luckily didn't polarize too much, so it didn't destroy the top of the reflections on the boat, which looks beautiful, but it has darkened and increased the contrast in the sea a little bit. To get the best out of this image, I'll have to do a little bit of work on it in processing. So have a look at the processed image now, and I'm going to move on and find my next composition.
I processed this photograph to add more strength to the background and breaking waves. Photographic composition isn't just about arranging elements in the frame, it's also about managing the relationships between those elements. In this photograph, I increased the contrast and saturation of the water, added a little dehaze so the boat does not get overpowered by the background. Then, when your eye is drawn into the photograph by the curved lines of the boat's hull, there is somewhere interesting to rest.
So I've had to take my glasses off because I wasn't quite sure what was worse, not being able to see through my glasses or not be able to see because I haven't got my glasses on. The wind's coming straight into my face, and so's the sea spray, which is isn't the best thing to do for your camera gear, but there you go. At the end, it's a tool. The composition that I'm looking at here is going to take me out towards the sea, but it's scouting in a beautiful foreground where we've got some waves rushing in and out, some breaking waves on the left-hand side. Now, beyond that, to the right of the frame, it's just open sea, and I don't really want to include that, so I'm going to probably use a vertical format. 5x4 crop. It's a classic 5.4. For me, always gives the image a bit more strength. I don't like the native 3.2 in the vertical format. Like I say, the challenge is going to be keeping everything clean. So what I might do is take the photograph first and then explain to you what the composition's about. Well, I've got to be honest, this is extreme, and I don't know if I'm going to get any photographs out of this whatsoever. It's extreme because of the sea spray coming in, extreme because of the wind, and extreme because of the contrasty light. It's not making for easy shooting at all. I'm praying that we get a little bit of cloud, and that's just what's just come over. So I've just got to take these photographs again now. Once again, the Cornish coastline ceases to amaze me. Absolutely fantastic. I was praying for a bit of cloud cover, and that's exactly what I got. The contrast dropped and I was able to get the picture. In fact, there's even more cloud coming over, so I might have another crack in a minute. But anyway, that worked out really, really well. So now I can explain to you about the composition. So I'll put a bit of viewfinder video up, although it was taken when it was much contrastier, so it might not look as good. But basically, as I was saying before, the problem with this sort of photography at the coast is that you end up with all the coast on either the left or the right hand side, and as a result of that you end up struggling with large empty space on the right. What I've got here is a nice lead in at the bottom. There's some rocks, there might be a little bit of a path going in there as well. I'd see if I leave it in when I crop it or not, because I've had to work so quick. I'm going to do a lot of the final cropping in computer. But the idea is that we've got these rocks in the foreground leading us out to these breaking waves against some bigger rocks on the headland itself. To the right hand side of that we've got a slither of sea and a little bit of sky in there as well. Now the idea, we're doing it this way in this 5.4, we've completely avoided all that wasted space on the right hand side. I'm really, really pleased with this. It's worked out really, really well, and with a bit of luck I've got the images I wanted and I can pack up and go home. But I'm going to have a quick look first because I think there might be another photograph for me to take just around the corner.
Shooting into the light is always challenging. I wanted to capture the breaking waves, and it was critical that I did not lose the texture of the water against the bright sky. Doing this enabled me to edit the photograph and balance exposure so some definition in the water can be seen. I used a shutter speed of 1/25 of a second, which retained enough detail in the wave, capturing the power of the sea. I thought there was another photo to take, and it turned out to be a few feet behind me. In the previous photograph I captured the action and drama. In this photograph I wanted to put the scene into context, capturing the wider view. Using a 4x5 crop deals with a common coastal photography problem of having an empty expanse of open sky and sea on the left or right of the image. A standard in-camera 2x3 crop often feels weak and too thin. The classic 4x5 crop dates back to the dawn of photography with large 8x10 sheet film, and it works well in the digital age.
I've just come back to the van. Both me and the camera needed a good wipe down. You can't keep enough of these microfiber cloths around. I carry one in the camera bag and I keep about 3 or 4 in the van. And then any time I need to wipe the camera gear off or anything, I just rinse this under some fresh water and then just give it all a wipe down and clean it all up. And I can leave the camera bags open then when I'm driving, and that'll let everything dry off. I do really hope that those photographs came out. I got quite excited about them, and the problem is sometimes when you get quite excited about composition or something, or a photograph that you've taken, when you get home and look at it on the screen, it's hard that it doesn't always capture the moment when you were there, but hopefully we won't have that this time. Well, this has been a fantastic experience. This is my 4th day away on my photography trip. I've had 3 nights, 4 days, and 4 photo shoots. What more can you ask for? Absolute heaven. So it's time for me to go. I hope that you've enjoyed this video. If you haven't seen the others, please watch the other 4 videos. Sorry, watch the other 3 preceding videos that came before this one. If you enjoyed this, please give it a like. If you think you're going to like to see more content on this channel, give it a subscribe and hit that bell icon as well. Until the next video, please go out and enjoy your photography. Bye for now.